Okay, 7th graders, in this lesson, I'm wanting to show you kind of a question that pops up a lot. There's 3 different ways that they'll ask it, but it's how does y change as x changes? So whenever x gets bigger or gets smaller, what happens to the value of y? Does it get bigger or get smaller? All right? The first way that they'll give you these problems is through a t-table, and these are really the easiest ones. Well, I take that back out. The graphs are probably the easiest ones, but t-tables are very easy too. So a t-table, you just start with a t. This is what it'll look like. It'll have your x values here and your y's there. Now these will all be given to you. Okay, so it might say -5, 0, 2, and 7. These are just random numbers that I'm throwing in there. And the y value might look like -7, -4, 3, and 8. Okay? So as the value of x gets bigger, -5 to 0, 0 to 2, and 2 to 7, what happens to the values of y? Well, they get bigger as well. -7 jumps to -4, -4 to 3, and 3 to 8. As the x values get bigger, the y values get bigger. Okay? And as the x values get smaller, 7 to 2, 2 to 0, and 0 to -5, the y values get smaller as well. Remember, on negatives, the further you go negative, the lower the values are. Okay, that's the t-table. It's very easy to recognize. Over here is a graph. In case you haven't learned it yet, you will. A graph is in 7th grade. It's just going to look like a line, okay? And in this one, we'll make it go downhill. Okay. And you have a y-axis, and you have an x-axis. Okay? Now everything to the left of this up and down line are negative x values. Everything to the right of it are positive x values. And everything above this horizontal line is positive y values. Everything below it are negative y values. So right here you get +1 for y, +2 for y, +3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And going this way, you get +1 for x, +2, +3, +4, +5, +6. You can just go on forever. I'm just kind of showing you how this works is all I'm trying to do. And then when you go down for y, you get negative values for y. -1, -2, -3, -4, and it just keeps going. -5, -6. The further you go down, the y values get lower. And if you go to the left, you get negative values for x. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5 for x. So in this question, they would ask, what happens to the value of y as the value of x changes? Okay. So as x gets greater, 1, 2, 3, as x gets greater, what's happening to the line? Is it getting greater or is it getting less according to the y value? It's getting less. It's going downhill. So as x as x is greater this way, the y value goes down. As x gets less and less, the y value, how high it is on the graph, the y value goes up. Okay, so as x gets less, the y value goes up in this case. Okay? That's for a graph. Usually the easiest way to tell is if it's going downhill or going uphill. That's called positive and negative slope. If it's going downhill, it's negative slope. If it's going uphill, your line, it's called positive slope. Okay. The third one would look something like this. This is called an equation. Okay? Y equals 3x plus 2. Now in this one, this is all they would give you, and they want to know what happens to y as the value of x changes. Now, eventually I'll show you a really easy way to tell, but for now, all we're going to do is we're going to pick some numbers for x, and we're going to see what we get back for y, just like we did on the t-tables right here. Okay, so we're going to make up something just like this. So, draw your t-table. You can pick any numbers you want to, it doesn't matter. I pick smaller numbers just because I like smaller numbers. So, if I pick 0 for x, if I plug in 0 for x right here, 3 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2. So 0 plus 2 is 2. That means y would equal 2 when x is equal to 0. I'll do another one. When x is equal to 1, you plug in a 1 right there, you get 3 times 1 plus 2. Well, 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5. And honestly, that's all you need to do. This is far enough, but I'll do one more just to go for it. 3 times 2, plug in 2 for the x here. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2. 6 plus 2 is 8, so y would equal 8 there. Okay? So now, as the value of x gets greater, 0, 1, 2, what's happening to the y values? Are they getting greater or less? Well, 2, 5, 8, they're getting greater. So as x gets greater, y is getting greater. Okay? And this all has to do with this question. How does y change as x changes? It's a really easy lesson. They're going to give you 3 different ways of asking that same question. Either a t-table, like that, which they'll give you everything, or they'll give you a graph, and it'll either be downhill or uphill, or they'll give you an equation like that, and you'll have to draw the t-table, which is not that hard.